Welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on their journey to publication. My name is Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Christina Catane, and I write Christian, dystopian fiction, and other genres.
I'm Rhonda Hagerman, and I write both fiction and nonfiction with my mother under the name D.D. Bowman.
All right. Welcome, everybody. We sure appreciate everybody who watches our show and listens, no matter where you do that, how you're joining us today. If you are watching us on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe. And if you could, tell a friend about how you found the Christian Indie Writers Podcast and what an encouragement it is to you. We'd love to grow our audience. So remember to share us on social media and give us a review if you could to help us grow the podcast. Help me help you and others. All right.
So I thought we get a rare bit of Jamie singing. We get lots of Jamie singing off air, but not very often on air. You don't sing.
Not often, no. So what is up with everybody? We, every episode, go around the virtual table and check in to find out what's going on with our hosts. We call it the What's Up. And everyone starts playing with their hair, getting all nervous that I might pick on them first.
No, I just thought I had this bump going on. Sorry.
I'm going to pick Tina first because she's the only one that didn't start preening when I started talking about the What's Up.
That's because I was busy getting my show and tell ready.
Oh.
So yesterday, instead of writing during office hours like I should have been doing, I got all creative and I went online and I made there's this thing where you can draw the floor plan of your house. And so I drew an exact floor plan of my living room. I went around with the measuring tape and measured everything, measured my entertainment center and everything. And
you must have really not wanted to work.
No, we have to buy new furniture, and
that makes a lot more sense.
I'm going to show you what I made first.
Okay.
So I printed out my floor plan.
Okay,
and
wait.
I laminated it. Is it too small, too big?
No, but if we were a radio show, I would have to say, look at that nifty laminated piece of paper she's holding up, right? Because our audio only people don't know. She's holding up this cool shiny paper that has all of these pieces of furniture mounted to it. So now tell us more about it, Bambina.
Right, so I'm on the wrong side. This is the fireplace and the picture window and the door over here. The door to the bedrooms right here. So I printed out all these furnitures to exact dimensions so I could figure out, I have this it's 20 feet long and 12 feet wide.
Wow. Holy cow.
Right. So it's very strange to try to put furniture in it, especially since we got a door here, a window here, and the fireplace over here.
Right.
And we only have one long wall. So I can show you what I can do. I can take the couch off.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much. You have no idea. So much.
And I can take the love seats and put that one over there. And then maybe I don't want this coffee table. I think maybe I want. Oh, let me get my other coffee table. It's still in the bag.
Tina, I still am coming over and playing with this because I have some great ideas for the layout of your furniture. I'm not even kidding.
I can switch coffee tables. I have some square end tables instead of these round ones. I could switch them out. So I did all this. I was so proud of myself and happy. And we were going to figure out, before we went to buy furniture, we were going to figure out exactly what we wanted, what we needed. I was just excited. My husband came home. He's like, let's go to Big Lots. I said, wait, we have to figure out what we want. I pull out my thing. He goes, nah, put that away. Let's go. You can bring it with you if you want.
That would be me. I would have it in the store, and then I'd be holding up the little picture, and I'd be looking at and then I'd be like, "Do you have the measuring tape? Is this the right size?" Well, I just really like that Tina has found a way to enjoy decorating.
I did the same thing, Tina. I'm still doing the same thing, but I found an app that I paid $15 for on Amazon that is for like designing houses, but you can like do the same thing. And I did it for furniture because my living room or my family room is almost the exact same measurements as yours. Mine, I think, is 23 by 13 and a half, but my fireplace is like on the long wall and it's off centered. It's very kind of awkward, but I figured out what I like how we have it set up. But I did it all electronically. So as you're doing this, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're like so much alike in that.
Yes.
Well, if you want me to do one for you for your house, you can give me $15.
Yes, for $15 and a postage paid envelope, Bambina Contain will make you a paper doll living room, which that's what we were talking about, is how much it reminds us of playing with paper dolls. Jen, do you want to check the chat for the what's up?
Sure. Maria says, my what's up, carrying on with edits for my historical fiction novel, 44 pages done in office hours. These last 3 weeks.
Wow.
I just love when we hear our listeners talk about office hours. So happy with the progress. Also stuff on Instagram, and I got Mailer Lite this week. Oh, great.
Yay,
Now-
that's really progress. Wow.
Were you planning on doing Mailer Lite, or was that based on our suggestion? Just curious, because I hope everyone. I am very, very pleased with Mailer Lite. We're not getting a kickback from that, but we've had a few listeners that have done that, gone to Mailer Lite. Piper says, my what's up, sent out a newsletter with a survey to enter for a themed gift box this month and switch over to Mailer Lite. Oh my gosh, that's another one.
Wow.
See, I just love you guys.
I've got to say that Sage has joined us under a new name. She's doing Moon Bunny Creative now. So hi to Sage, and interesting rebrand, real cool. Let her know what you think. There's lots of praise for the rebrand in the chat already.
Yes. Shell says, what's up? Over 1,000 words in my short story. Excited to be writing consistently again. Good
I remember
job.
when she was just talking about outlining that story. So isn't that funny how like you think I have so much to do, and then a few weeks later you look back at how much you've done just by putting those little steps one in front of the other. It's very encouraging. So thanks everyone for sharing that you're making progress towards your goals, because that inspires us to keep making progress towards ours. Speaking of which, Rhonda, how'd that go for you this week? What's up?
Well, still worked on social media this week. It's ramping up really slow, but I am getting habits in place that are the most important part of it for me. So that's good. Also, let's see. Very sad news here today. I had to turn my furnace on. I was
Me
dedicated to
too.
do that.
Sorry to laugh. I should not laugh.
Yeah. No, you
Lightweights.
shouldn't. It's Florida.
Tina, lightweights. I know. Like Tina was telling me, oh, it's 63 up here today. And I'm like, that might be cold to me now. I used to love 63.
Mhm.
Loved 63.
My house was 58 when I got up this morning. I'm like, my little girls have no meat on their bones to keep themselves warm. I had to turn the
Yeah.
furnace on.
Yeah, 63
Yeah, I meant
outside
that
and 63
literally,
inside are
lightweights.
different.
I do miss the cold weather though, because you talk about your little meat and bones, girls. I miss the big bed pile in of everybody being all shivery. So we all get under the blankets and get all snuggly. That's very fun with littles. So I miss that. Now they're all arms and legs and they take up the whole space and we're all like, get out. And nobody enjoys it anymore, you know? Oh, it's fun. All right. Well, what is up with you, Jen? We didn't get your what's up yet.
For me, it's been a week of homeschooling, getting
Yeah.
kind of figuring that all out. We got into that partnership. I basically, was it Monday morning? I think it was Monday morning. I just got the girls up and I said, we're going. We're just going to go there. Or was it Tuesday morning? Anyways, like just get dressed. We're going to go there and we're going to sit on a bench outside the office until they help us. And that was the best thing I could have done, because when you're
Nice.
there, they just have to take care of you.
Sure,
So
sure. Yeah.
Wednesday was their first day of it's only once a week, and they are taking art and photography. Joelle is taking Spanish. And the class sizes are small, which is what I wanted. And so yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Parents can stay in class. I'm the only parent that has chosen to, and that's okay because I found jobs to already do with these teachers. So I'm helping the art teacher out with things. And then the photography teacher, he seemed kind of a little bit overwhelmed. And so I'm doing all of his like back end stuff. When kids bring their photos
Nice.
in, I'm downloading them for him. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, so my girls are enjoying that. We are getting in the homeschool swing of how we do our days. And so, yeah, so that's really, I've not done any work this week.
Well, you know what? There are seasons to work and seasons to be taking care of family stuff. So that's
Yes.
A-okay. Anything else in the chat before I say my what's up and then we dive into this topic? We got any other what's ups? I don't think I saw one.
There's lots of chat going on. So if
Lots
we
of
missed
chat.
somebody, let's just get Jason in here because Jason was talking last week about how he hadn't been writing. So his what's up is changing the hook scene at the start of my book. I went from starting in the ruins of a battle to starting the book in the middle of the battle. Okay.
Yeah.
Totally love that. I just love, Jason, that you're writing again. So I want to.
Me too. Good job, Jen, because we want to encourage him.
So we're probably missing things. So everyone, if you're listening to this or you're watching it, go back and read the chat because there's always great stuff in there.
Our
But
chatters
Jamie-
are awesome.
But Jamie, we need to hear your what's up.
Okay, so if you remember last week, I had asked, Maria, where are you from? And so I went and found out something fun about Wales. And okay, this is going to sound really stupid, but what I didn't actually realize is that there are people who speak Welsh.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know this. Okay, so like I went and watched a video. I'm like, I love this language. I mean, it sounds a little Italian. I mean, I don't know quite how to explain it. So my what's up is just to encourage everybody. If you didn't know that there was a language that is still spoken today in Wales, it is actually a bilingual country because there are so many speakers of the Welsh language. It's really fascinating, interesting, and that is my what's up. And next week, I hope to report on Pretoria, South Africa, which is where Ogugwe, which I hope I said her name right, says that she's from. And then after that, I'll be looking for somewhere else to look into. So maybe where Robin's from, she's from somewhere in Canada, but I can't remember. But I will hopefully have a what's up about someone in our chat because I'm trying to be a little bit more, less of a typical American and kind of broaden my cultural horizons in a little teeny weeny way. I don't think I'm moving mountains, but I'm getting a little better each week. So that's the goal.
When you look at the language, did you notice their ethnic clothing?
Well, I didn't because it was like a man's head. Like he was wearing like a white, like he was trying to be just a very basic guy talking Welsh, I guess. It wasn't like, oh, let's be Welsh about everything in the video. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So.
I think you would think their clothes were adorable.
Oh, yeah. So like, are they Netherlandish? Like, are they, No.
I mean, it's sort of like a top hat. That's the hat they wear.
Okay.
And just big skirts, and you'll just have to see it.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to check this out.
There's a similar situation in Ireland with the languages where most Irish speak English, but they also speak Gaelic.
Yeah.
My grandparents could speak both.
Yeah.
Well,
They're
Maria
bringing
says
Gaelic back to school in Scotland too.
Maria says that she learned it until she was 16 in high school, but a lot of it has fallen out of her head by now. I thought,
wow.
Isn't it crazy the things that we learn and we know so well, and then like we grow and then we forget them? Like my daughter, my youngest, has started taking flute lessons. I played flute. I say played past tense because like I bought her one. I pulled it out, I put it together, and that's as far as I got. I knew where to put my fingers, and I'm like, I can't believe I don't remember anything. How is it that I spent so many years playing this instrument and I don't remember? So it's the same thing like with language.
How many years did you play?
Oh, like 3 or 4.
Wow.
Like it wasn't just a little bit of time. I mean, I spent a lot of time.
I was in the Anchorage Honor Orchestra when I was a kid, playing the violin. And now I'm lucky if I could play a good rendition of Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Well, just
go ahead.
Sorry. No, that's okay. Just to get caught up with the chat before we move on. Interestingly, remember how we asked Ogugwe if she knew Sage? Sage said she used to live in Pretoria. And so I'll be doing a double duty if I do Pretoria. I'll be catching Ogugwe and Sage. Isn't that great?
And
what if they do know each other? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Do you remember last week when I was very sarcastic, we were acting like, do you guys know each other? Because it's not that big of a country, So and here they are. She used to live there. That's really funny. But it is just so you know, I reached out to Ogugwe a few weeks back and asked her like if I was pronouncing it correctly, and she's like, close enough. That is how it's pronounced. We probably don't have the accent right or something, but yeah, she was very, very sweet about it.
Wonderful. Well, and also Maria said it's compulsory to learn at least a little bit of Welsh in school and that it's very important to their culture. So thanks everybody for helping us all learn a little bit more about our world today. Okay, so we do have a topic, believe it or not. It's how to frame a story, how to improve your writing with framing. All right. So when we went to plot out this episode, we sort of had a little bit of an idea of what we wanted to say. But then as we started talking, we realized that we each had a different idea of what we even were talking about when we said framing a story. And does anybody want to talk a little bit more about where we got confused, Rhonda or Tina?
Well, let me start. Okay.
All right.
The reason we're doing this topic is because Barb B in the chat recommended it. So we're expecting her to pipe up quite a bit today. Okay. So anyway, she and I were chatting about it, and she just said, frame your story with the same beginning and end. And one thing that I love details.
Mhm.
And one of my favorite thing about a story is when the first scene and the last scene mirror each other. Like the first
the
scene,
whole book, like the first scene of the whole
entire
book.
book.
Okay.
Yep. So the first scene might have somebody moving out of an apartment for a divorce or whatever. And then the last scene might have the person moving into their brand new office space that they finally, their life is finally coming complete or whatever. So that is what the original intention of the podcast was. But then, Tina, take it away.
Well, I had really no clue what they meant by framing a story. So I just Googled framing a story. And then I found out that framing a story is really just a structure for your story. It could be anything. Just like a picture frame or the frame of a house, it's just like the outer edges. And then you fill it up with stuff. So there's a lot of different ways to frame a story, and that is just one of them.
Okay. And so we decided that instead of just picking one of these areas and spending a whole episode talking about that we kind of split our time today and cover both. And it seems to me there's not much more to say about framing as far as the internal of the book, right? I mean, we kind of talked about what it was. Do you guys have some examples either from notable works of literature or from your own work where you've seen framing in a story?
Mm-hmm.
I do.
All right, go, Tina.
Okay, so I found 5 different. I'm sorry, Jen. Did you want to say something?
I know when you're done. She's teasing me because she knows that's like the one thing I have to say on this topic.
Oh, I just didn't know if I'd interrupted you.
Nope.
I don't like to do that. So, the most common framework is called subjective storytelling.
And that sounds really fancy, Tina.
Yeah, it just means you're limited to one point of view.
Oh, okay.
So you're telling a story from main character's point of view, probably, most likely.
Okay.
And then there's also multi-person point of view where you have subplots going on, and so you have scenes from different characters' points of view. But it's always every time you're not like in 2 people's heads at once.
Okay.
No head hopping. So it has to be from the point of view of one person at a time. And that would be subjective storytelling.
Okay.
I don't have any examples for that because that is the most common framework. Mm-hmm. And you could pick up any of Jen's books and have an example of that.
So if it was objective, it would be one point of view throughout the whole book, is what you're saying?
No, this is subjective.
Oh, okay. I got it backwards.
Subjective. One point of view throughout the whole book or multiple points of view, but only one point of view at a time.
Okay.
Got it.
Mine are usually 2 points of view, but it'll be different times. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, because romance really kind of needs that, right? Because you need to know how the man is interpreting events and how the woman is interpreting events.
And in a classic adventure story too, if you just had it from one point of view, it would be really hard to have all the little nuances and subplots and things that go on in an adventure. So that's subjective. Objective is the omniscient narrator who tells the story, maybe only about one person, but usually it's a group of people and it's from his point of view. And examples of this, classics, Pride and Prejudice and The Tale of Two Cities. Modern works are Dune and Harry Potter. Of the objective storytelling. Then you have legends. And so this is a framework that people use where it's a narrator telling the story of one character, and it makes it feel old and rooted and like it's
in
a
lore.
legend.
It's like in lore, right?
Yes, and so it's like a storyteller at the hearth in the pub, telling the story of the hero of
yes. And see, whenever I try to write objective, I end up writing legends. Like I don't mean it. I want to really master objective storytelling because I love how you can sort of head hop if you're being objective because you're like the all-knowing, all-seeing narrator, right? But I don't read enough of that to know how to do it well. So I just am really wanting to explore that. So I'm glad you brought that up.
So I haven't read these books, so I just want to say I'm not recommending them because I don't know what the content is. But Stardust and Uprooted are apparently two very popular books that are from the Legendary framework.
Okay.
A question.
Mm-hmm.
You said the narrator tells one character's viewpoint. Is that a rule, or could they tell more than one character?
It's not that they are only talk about. It's usually there's one hero in a legend, and they're telling their story.
Okay.
So they might talk about, tell about other characters, but it's about one particular protagonist who is the hero.
Okay.
So then we have nostalgic retellings. So this is also called story within a story, and it's also called a frame story. So this is very similar to what you were talking about, Rhonda, where you begin and end the book in the same place.
Okay.
But usually the beginning and the ending is right now, and the middle is the backstory or the flashback. So most of the book takes place in the past, and it's framed within the beginning and end, which is right now today, as if someone's telling you, like it's nostalgic, and they're retelling you what happened. Some examples: To Kill a Mockingbird, Interview with a Vampire. And interesting, in the book of Mark in the Bible, there's a whole passage where Mark is talking about the cleansing of the temple, and he sandwiches the story of the fig tree, the cursing of the fig tree, in between. So it kind of has a story within a story.
Tina, I love it when you are able to talk to us about the Bible as literature, because it is an amazing work of literature. And when we point out the places where God got it right, I mean, like, I think that's really, really cool. So thanks for pointing that out. I think that's really adds something to the conversation.
Okay, there's one more kind, epistolary tales. And these are stories told through a series of documents like letters, diary entries, transcripts, or reports. And there might be some narrative mixed in, but the main focus is on these documents.
So epistle to the apostles, right? Is like, right? Like that's why that word is used there?
I think that epistle is just a word for letter.
Nice.
And so that's kind of, and Dracula is like one of the most famous stories written from this point of view. So that's what I got for you today.
Nice.
Where did you get do you have resources that you used to share?
Yes, I read an article, and I'll put the link in.
Okay.
From Well Storied, the Well Storied website. And I think I just Googled story framework, and this came up, and it's from Well Storied. So.
Okay, so I'm glad that you said that, because this is I'm going to springboard off that, because now I'm, as me sitting back listening to the two of you, listen to what Rhonda says framing is, and listen to what you said framing is. I think here's where the confusion has happened, because I think that you're talking framework, and that maybe as you're learning framework, people are using the word framing because in reference to making it into a verb. What Rhonda is talking about is framing, which is a literary device. So let me see. This is my take, and let's see if you guys agree or not. For me, I was always taught, and I've always used framing, like Barb is saying. So Barbie says, when we were talking about framing the story, it's often called book ending, bringing story full circle, completing the arc. That's how I see framing, is that the book I'm working in right now, it starts at a train station, and it ends at a train station, a different train station. The complete story arc ends. She's on a journey at the beginning, and at the end, her journey has finally come to an end, and everything comes together. So that's a very specific and exact thing of framing. Framework and all these things you're talking about, which include point of view and include the story structure and how you can structure a story, whether that's framework. Now, do you guys agree or disagree? Do you see that what I see is the difference? Am I wrong?
No,
I wouldn't know.
Right.
Yeah, we all agree about that. I mean, well, I do. I mean, they're saying yes, and I also agree.
Yeah, so I can see. I'm glad we had this topic of conversation, because I can see how listeners, any of us, can be like, oh, they hear someone say, "Oh, I framed my story." and then you go do a Google search and you're like, oh my word. So you got it. So there are two different things we're talking about. When writers talk about framing a story, they could be talking about either one of these things. Either frame, and you can frame scenes too. We've talked about that as well. Is that like what Tina was saying specifically about, like it starts off and then they do maybe a flashback and then you come back to that scene. That's specifically framing a scene. You can do that for a whole book. You can frame a scene at something as simple as, she's looking at I just all of a sudden thought about this. In Avoiding Esther, there's a scene where John goes to speak to Phoebe, and he's all ready to like confess some things, and then he sees roses on Phoebe's mother's, I think it's in a vase somewhere. Anyway, and then he goes in his own mind about something that happened in his past, and then he comes back to it, and Phoebe walks in with roses, and it changes the whole trajectory of what he was about to do. So that scene is framed with roses. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's the literary device of framing. But then there's also framework of your story. So if that's ever been confusing to everyone, I think we just kind of for ourselves, like that solves the confusion.
When we were talking about doing the outline for this episode, we discovered that there's confusion, and then we decided we just talk about both.
Yep.
And see where the conversation led. So
yeah, because that if we're confused by it, there are other people that have been confused.
Go ahead.
How many times have we been to like a nano group writing or some other writing group, and people like throw out these terms, and we're sitting there going, but inside we're going, what are they talking about? Because we sometimes get interchanged, and so it's good to have these conversations and discuss these things.
Absolutely, because what we've realized is it's no fun to be the new person who doesn't know and has nobody to ask. That's no fun at all. So that's what we're here for. If you have a question like, what is nano? I don't even know what that, like, we will answer you and not make fun of you for not knowing or make you feel dumb. Send us a line and say, hey, why don't you guys explore whatever? Because I didn't even know what that was until I started being a writer, and now I'm all confused. And we'll explore the topic in depth for you because we're still confused.
The only stupid question is the one you didn't ask.
Well, there you go.
And if anyone can learn from our confusion,
we are more than happy to be fools for your enjoyment.
By the way, I just had a major flashback of our first writing group when Barb B told me my piece was full of a passive voice, and I'd never heard of that before.
I was having a flashback to another writing group that we were in that we are no longer part of, really. I mean, technically, I guess we're still part of it, but yeah. So there's a reason why our tagline is on their journey toward publication. We've not arrived. None of us have. So we are along this ride along with you guys. And so Maria says, to be honest, I didn't know what framing meant when I saw the topic. I wasn't sure if you meant framing in terms of setting, like context and history, or geography or something. LOL. Yeah, it's one of those words that can be used for so many different things. Like you're right, geography, like that's another way a person could use the term for framing. So specifically, we if you have never framed your story, framing the way that Rhonda is discussing, give it a try. Even just do a scene. Like that Rose's scene was actually part of a short story for a group that we were in, that we had to write a short story and it had to have a color in it. And that's where that came from for me. And it ended up really being kind of pivotal in the story. It was one of my my disasters for my story. So
I know. And we have started with our podcast trying to automatize a lot of this. And so automatically our sprint prompt today was supposed to be either a phrase or a title. And so we chose, I've been framed. But if you wanted to give yourself a challenge, the next time you sit down to write, try to write a framed scene. Okay. And the frustrating thing for me is that folks don't really want to write because they feel like it's a waste of time. But I'm telling you, you're not wasting your time when you're practicing your writing. Even if no other eyeballs ever look at it, the next time you go to write something that other eyeballs will see, you will be a better writer. So continue to practice your writing, even if you feel like, what's the point? Nobody's ever going to read this. The point is, it's very enjoyable to become a better writer. I promise. Just exercise every day your writing muscle, and you'll be surprised at the benefits that come out at the end.
I used to have a real problem with that because I like being efficient. I don't like wasting time. And so I thought I had to find a use for every single thing that I wrote.
Me
But then it
too.
occurred to me one day, when a pianist is practicing, they are not performing every single time they practice. So that
Nope.
means they're not the equivalent of publishing what they're doing at that time. Every time they sit at the piano, it just goes out into the atmosphere. But they don't consider that a waste of time because they're practicing. So I just had to change my mindset about it. And I like
That's
it a
a
lot better now.
good point.
I really, really like thinking about that, Rhonda, because like the problem is that we end up with something physical, I guess. Like if you write on a piece of paper, now here it is on a piece of paper, and there's an act of crunching and disposing. Is like,
Yes. My bones. Ugh.
Is that the paper screaming? Is that
No, that's literally
to kill
me.
your darlings. Do you understand that that's to kill your darlings? And the reason this is so impactful to me right now is because I'm I don't know, drafting a book. I don't know what I'm doing. But the point is, I threw away a lot of crap that I thought was perfect just recently. And I'm like, nope, doesn't work anymore. And I couldn't even believe it because if you would have asked me when I wrote it, it was done. But I'm like, no, because the story has changed. But anyway, practice throwing away your stuff because then it gets easier when you're doing the editing part too. You become a lot more critical about what you're going to keep because you start to realize it's not my best. The more that you write, the more you can recognize your own best work. So
Jamie,
that's enough.
That also shows how you're growing as a writer. Because I remember back in the day when you wouldn't throw anything away. Like you're like, I wrote this. Like you felt like you put this work in, and it was what it was. Like, and it's showing your growth as a writer as well.
Yeah, very similar to Rhonda. I mean, because it's like, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Keep it forever and stare at it. Look, I wrote this.
50 years after
practice
your
piece.
death, somebody's going to come take all your little things and put them together and do a nostalgic.
Gosh, I hope not, because they're going to realize really how bad of a writer I am and how good of an editor I am.
Yeah. Well, think about all the Picasso napkins that go for thousands of dollars.
Rhonda, I'm sorry, but Piper mentioned your serape or your poncho or whatever. Like, can you tell, where did you get it? Because I noticed it, Jen noticed it. We all love it. What is going on with the poncho?
And it's so soft, too.
Oh, look at it.
Okay, so my lovely mother-in-law, she bought this for my birthday last year, and I love it because I can wear it out like to a restaurant, and it's great. It really is a very nice one. And people don't know that I'm actually wearing a blanket because I'm pretending like I'm being fashionable, but I'm only wearing it because it's like it's a blanket.
No, listen, I got my niece these brooch clips. They're for turning blankets into cloaks. Like I got her those for Christmas. So she's got beautiful, like you can get them. So you can pick whatever blanket you like and put that thing on there. And now you have a cape.
Right.
I have vintage jewelry, big old pins from my grandmother that I've used for things like for scarves and stuff like that.
Nice.
But like I love vintage, like the big old rhinestone. Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh, I think when I come to Michigan, I'm not going to wear a coat anymore. I think I'm just going to pin blankets to myself with amazing pins that are cool. And then I'm going to have a collection. Okay, sorry.
You can go to antique stores and get them for cheap because nobody wants them. Like they're a dime a dozen and you can get them for like $5 or
I love them. I love them.
I just bought 2 nice ones yesterday. Super cheap.
Ooh,
Is anybody else giggling at the irony of them being a dime a dozen and costing $5?
Or just that I improperly use cliches.
No, I loved it.
I love it too because dime a dozen, man. I mean, nothing's a dime a dozen anymore. Good night. Not even jelly beans.
It made my nerd brain very happy.
All right.
So I'm wearing homemade socks too. Homemade knitted socks from my mother.
Homemade knitted socks by your mother.
Yeah.
You
I
are just
my foot up for you to see it, but I don't know.
Well, I've got to say, Piper wants to know where I got those cloak brooches from. I got them from Amazon because, as usual, the occasion was 2 days away and I needed lickety split. But I'm sure you could find some lovely ones on Etsy or whatever. So see what you can find. All right. So I guess that is it. That pretty much exhausts the topic of framing. Would you all agree, or does anybody have anything to add before we move on?
Teddy's
visiting. Okay. So it's time for the feeding of the backs. what did you say, Jamie? That's really weird. Well, it's just a little joke we have because whenever you share something at writing group, people say, oh, it's time to give feedback. So I turn and say, is your back well fed? Like, can we have the next person's turn? Because I never want to leave anybody feeling like they didn't get enough feedback about their piece. So we're going to have the feeding of the backs here. Only positive feedback because we don't edit these before we share them. We set a timer for 15 minutes and we write lickety split, and whatever we get is what we get. Out it comes. And I always pick Jennifer to go first. So I am not going to break from tradition. Jennifer, would you like to say what the prompt is? And
yes, I would love to. I'm so glad you asked me to go first. The prompt was the title, I've Been Framed, meaning that as you write, you have to write with that in mind as your title. You don't have to use that in your writing, but that would be your title. And I want everyone to know that I did not. I absolutely ignored the prompt today, which this is fine. This is a good thing for me to go first so that our listeners understand that the prompts are to help you, not to harm you.
Right. We want you writing every day. We want you to grow those writing muscles.
Yes. And as soon as we said go and I muted everybody, all of a sudden my phone rang. And so, and then when I was done, then I came back. So here is my prompt for today. And I better put glasses on now.
That's fun.
All right. So I've been taking my glasses off because there's such a reflection, but I got to put them on now because my eyes are weak today. Okay. The phone buzzed on the desk next to her laptop. She didn't recognize the number, but it was a local number. Not many of those left these days, she thought. Had it been an unidentified cell number, she would have dismissed it straight to voicemail. But a local landline number got her attention. Hello, she asked tentatively, which is not the right word. I know that, but it's a Sprint. Hey, this is John at Muffler Man, her mechanic. How had life gotten so crazy that she forgot her car was in the shop? Oh, hey, John. How's it going? Yeah, I was just calling to see if we discussed the cost to repair your vehicle. I don't see an estimate on the form here. She took a deep breath. No, we didn't. I just dropped it off and figured you'd call me with the price. That was mostly the truth. She knew approximately how much it was going to cost, based off several quotes from other mechanics. And she dropped it off, wondering if she'd ever be able to pick it up, having no way to pay the thousands of dollars the repair would cost. Okay, well, you don't need to replace the suspension on the front, only the back. We're estimating 2.5 hours of labor, so it'll be around $250. She blinked several times at the cursor that blinked back at her. Had she heard him correctly? $250 for labor? Yep, he said. And what else? That's it. You had the part already. So $250 total? Yeah, he said. So is it okay to do the work? She was silent for a minute. Hey, John, are you looking for a new best friend because you just found one? John laughed. I can always use a friend. I'll get your vehicle pulled in the garage right now. She hung up the phone and stared once again at the blinking cursor. Life was falling apart, and she could do nothing to stop it. But God was there, taking care of things like only He can. She was going to be all right. And I'm not even going to say 3, 2, 1 because I ended like 5 minutes early. And I'm like,
yeah.
It's done.
Yeah, it's done.
Yep.
So
Very good.
Very good. Yeah. Well, I like that it was a complete story, beginning, middle, and end. And it raises so many questions about what is going on.
Yeah.
But it does have a very hopeful ending, which I love.
Right. I got a picture of her, and I don't know if it's accurate or not, but when she had already been to a bunch of other mechanics, is she desperate for this guy to just, I just have a complete idea of what this one's going through right now.
So I did a little bit of enhancing there of the story because we only had really one other quote because it was a suspension, a place that does suspension.
Oh, so this is a real life story.
Oh yeah. This is exactly what happened to me today.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we knew how much that was going to cost, but we always use the Muffler Man in Davison. They are great guys there if you're local and need a mechanic.
I second that.
The Muffler Man.
And so
there she goes.
We had already ordered the parts. They always tell us to do that we'll save money that way. And so, but the quote that I had from the other place was a lot. So I knew we were saving a little bit of money by ordering the part, but oh my gosh, when he called me, I was just like, and I literally said that to him. Hey, John, you're looking for a new best friend. I literally said that to him. And his response was, hey, I could always use a new friend. I'm gonna get you. Like it was, I just wrote what happened. Like, so I really shouldn't take credit for this story. So I say that Piper says, are you looking for a new best friend? Love it. I say that all the time to people. if they compliment me or they make me feel good. I always say that kind of thing.
Maybe you can take him a pumpkin spice latte or something when you go to pick up the car.
Yeah, there's two. I don't know all of them, but the two guys, the owner, and then he's like the assistant manager. John is. We know them well. Like they call us our best customers because we have used cars. And my son has a used car. Like we use them a lot. So, and we send a lot of business to them. So,
well, it's really good when you know someone you can trust, and then you can recommend them.
Especially as a woman. As a woman, like I'm able to take my car in there without my husband having to go in. They treat me like him. They don't treat me different. And I'm telling you, other mechanics do not do that. So, so okay.
Tina, were you trying to make a comment? Because either way, I'll pick on you to go next.
I wasn't.
All right.
Other than I loved the piece.
Thanks. Let's hear yours, Tina.
Okay. I used it in my story as well as for the title. So.
Yay.
I've been framed, Angelo said, throwing his hands in the air. I don't understand why someone would do this. Are they animals? Barbarians? Heartless, sniveling little people with beaked wart festooned noses, rubbing spindly hands together and plotting how to ruin Angelo's day? Why? Calm down, Michelle said, handing Angelo a cup of tea. There's no need to get all dramatic. Dramatic? Angelo huffed. If there was a need to be dramatic, it is now. This is an utter disaster, a great calamity, a total catastrophe. My good name is ruined, my reputation, everything I've worked for all my life in shambles.
Wow.
Angelo, calm down. We can fix this. It's not as bad as all that. Michelle picked up the phone to call her business partner, Tony. The phone finally picked up after 6 rings, and Tony bellowed in Michelle's ear. What's up, babe? What can the toaster do for you this afternoon? Got the cute stuff. We got a big problem. Angelo is having a total meltdown. Oh, yeah? What's the big baby crying about now? Tony asked. Michelle stood, held one finger up to Angelo, and slipped from the room. Angelo lowered his head into his hands and continued to moan and mumble, occasionally lifting his head and shaking it, occasionally pounding his fist into the table. When Michelle finally returned with Tony in tow, Angelo jumped to his feet. This is your fault, he spat. You were in charge. Why didn't you stop them? Angelo, sit down, please. We can fix this. Lickety-split. No harm, no foul. Fix it? Lickety-split. This is my life's work, my greatest masterpiece. And yet that you let them put it into a frame like it was wall decor sold at Walmart. Angelo, it's okay. Nobody has seen it yet but us. We'll take it out of the frame and put it back onto the easel. Angelo sulked, crossing his arms over his chest, and then finally nodded to Tony. Fine. We can do the show, but don't expect me to ever display any of my cat paintings in your studio ever again.
Go, Angelo. You defend your art, Angelo. Don't let him put it in a cheapo Walmart frame, Angelo.
I love that you took the frame. Like, literally, like, I love that.
Yeah. That's not what I was
expecting. Podcast, like, because what is framework, right? Is it what Rhonda thought it was? Was
right.
It what I thought it was?
Right.
So I thought it would be cute to like use a totally different definition.
That's so brilliant because like here I am rooting for the poor artist and it was all meant to be satire and whatever. And I'm all indignant, you know, like oh, they did what to his art? So great job because
his cat paintings.
Yeah, well, he did his life's work, Jennifer. I love it. Great job, Tina. I like it when you get funny on us, Tina. It's really a nice change of pace. What a breath of fresh air.
Lots of compliments in the chat. OMG, this was so fun. Love the standard dialogue. This is so funny. Wonderful twist. At the edge of my seat. Yeah, you just got to read through them. There's a lot.
Yeah, real winner on the prompt today. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Barb's just, great, Tina. No passive voice there.
Thank you, Barb, for setting me straight in life so that I can make it to this point where I am today.
That's how you frame a writing career, ladies and gentlemen. You start with passive voice and you end with overcoming passive voice. Tina's ready to launch her novel now. So you see, we have framed Tina's beginning of her writing career. She's now ready to graduate. Grasshopper, congratulations, right?
Oh, mercy.
All right, I'm going to read mine next, so it's not so much talky host in a row. Sorry, Rhonda. I know how much you love being last.
I do.
She's last almost every single time that you're host. It's like
I know. I almost went last, but then it would really be me talking forever, which, bleh. Okay.
Yeah.
So here we go. Brian read the headline as he chewed a bagel. It was the first he'd heard of the Merriweather case, and he found it an interesting diversion from the mess that was waiting for him back at the office. The woman making the statement was one Alexandria Merriweather. She'd been busted for inside trading and was looking at a considerable amount of time inside. Brian gave a low whistle as he ran his eyes over the image of the distraught Miss Merriweather. He wondered what it would be like to see those lashes and those legs in person. As he took another bite of his everything with green onion schmear, he allowed his mind to fantasize that Alexandria Merriweather had, at his behest, maybe he needed her help with a fashion decision, choosing an outfit for the upcoming Christmas party, let's say. Left her interview with the fellow in D.C. and hit the road immediately to come to his aid. By his calculations, she should come walking through the door of the Waffle House right about, you need anything else? The waitress who appeared with a pot of coffee and sloshed some into his still quite full cup was not Alexandria Merriweather, live and in Technicolor. She was a dumpy middle-aged woman wearing cheap clothes and a dirty apron. Her hair fell from a ponytail in long, greasy strands. Wispy sprigs of it sprung from the top of her head in a halo of frizz. Yes, I do, Brian said, folding his paper and then his hands upon it. I need to know why you choose to come to work looking so bedraggled. Excuse me, sir? The waitress did not seem angry, only confused. Here, young woman, he said, reaching into his pocket. I'm going to give you $100. Gee, thanks, sir. On one condition. Brian held up the folded bill, elbow bent on the table. He leaned toward the girl and squinted up at her name tag. Daisy, is that your name? The girl also looked at her own name tag as though she was not sure herself. Yes, sir. Okay then, Daisy, you take this money and you get yourself together. Maybe get your hair done. Buy some new work clothes, okay? Gee, thanks, mister. Brian slid from the booth and tapped the brim of his hat to the line cook on the way out. Hash marks to show change of scene. Shoot, did he just do what I think he done? Scotty hopped the counter to stand next to Daisy. Sure did, left me 100 smackers. She beamed up at him. It's going to be a fun weekend.
Awesome.
Is that it?
That's it.
I got to share this comment first. Brian Carruthers says, I'm also Brian Tune on a bagel.
I'm sorry that I put a bagel with schmear at Waffle House. You cannot get that at Waffle House. I will let you know. Although if you guys would all like to start a write-in campaign, they may start offering it. But it is not available at any Waffle House that I know of.
Now I want a bagel with cream cheese. That sounds really good.
Yeah.
That was really good writing, Jamie.
Oh, thanks.
I was expecting more, though. I was expecting, not in a bad way. Like, I was like waiting to see, like, I just kind of assumed that she's not going to spend the money the way he said. So, like, you saying it's going to be a fun weekend could mean that she's going to enjoy, like, getting her hair done and going shopping. Or it could just mean that she's just going to do whatever she wants with it. So, I guess I kind of do like it that you left it open like that. So,
do you know why I like it?
Why?
Because that's what I want when I create art. I want someone to consume it and have questions and start to think about the bigger picture of whatever. So if I left you wondering what will she do, then mission accomplished for me. So thank you. That's actually a very high compliment.
Good. Gigi
One
says,
thing that I
Jamie,
want to
that was great. I really didn't want it to end.
Aw, thanks.
The one thing I want to point out that I just love your writing so much. And it's because of things like, you said something like, he looked down at her name tag. Daisy, is it? I can't remember how you worded it, but that just, it really just puts me right there with them. That's just what I love about your writing.
Well,
and the fact that Daisy looked down, like, that's just such a thing that, like, people do, right? Like, I loved it. Yeah.
Thanks. Oh, awesome. Okay, so I'm the host. I forgot. I was waiting for the host to say, so, Rhonda, tell us your tale. But it's me. So, Rhonda, tell us your tale.
Okay, well, I barely get one scene finished, let alone overachiever above me. Okay, so what in the... Something I couldn't exactly identify was sprinkled on my desk calendar. I looked up to see if the ceiling looked damaged, but it was fine. I stabbed a small piece of it cautiously with my finger in case it was dangerous. Holding it up to my eye, I could see it wasn't insulation. No mesothelioma for me today. One sniff told me exactly what it was. Peanut crumbs, which could only mean one thing. Someone brought in donuts. But who would eat it at my desk and why? I shrugged
And not
started-
share. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, for real. I shrugged and started toward the break room. Whoa, stop. My body recognized the voice first. It cringed at the scraping, squealing voice of Mabel Rogers, my arch enemy. I was told you ate my special donut. She held out her flat palm. You owe me $4.50. No, I haven't had any donuts today. I'm going to get one right now. I turned away from her, but she grabbed my shoulder. She was pointing at my desk. What's this? She said, raising her voice and rushing over to inspect the pile of crumbs on my desk. She touched her finger to it and recoiled. She turned to me, grasping for her décolletage with all the drama she could muster, then held out her long, bony finger out to me like a foil. You did it. I didn't believe them, but it really was you. Her last words came out like a wail. That donut was my only chance at youth again.
What?
Me? I didn't eat it. I've been framed. Oh, no. Me? I didn't eat it. I've been framed.
Dun, dun, dun.
I caught a glimpse of Rochelle peeking at us from her office door. Rochelle? Rochelle, why? The end.
No.
Oh, wow.
Not the end. Not the end.
Yeah.
Rhonda, that
Couldn't
was
see it,
so good.
Rhonda, but Jennifer was acting out that
Yes.
Oh,
while you were reading.
We need to do that more because that's fun. I have to say.
yeah. Yeah.
So I
Rhonda.
don't understand how the stolen donut in the youth, like stealing her. I don't know, but I do know that I want
love
a
it.
nutty donut now.
It's
Yeah,
the
oh, I know,
magical
I do too.
donut of youth.
I'm so regretful. Yeah. Well, it's a special donut made with special ingredients.
Is this like a speculative kind of a thing? Like,
Yes.
oh my goodness.
Oh,
Are you
okay.
pursuing that? Is this your wedding cake baker lady? What if this is? What if this could be in that story? You're the woman who does the weddings and she's, you know
Yes.
what I'm saying? Like you could like have that world be part. See, and this is why I think you should save stories until it's time for them. You know what I mean? Because I think that they grow and change over time. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Bunny trail. But yeah, loved it, Rhonda. Loved everything about these people. Mabel Rogers, my arch enemy. Like who thinks like that? But you do. You're like, oh, that person. And her voice, like my body responded to her voice. Like, yes, you hear the voice and instantly you're like, it's that person. And so good.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I was trying to make it sort of like a over dramatic, like a 1940s radio show, sort of.
I love those.
I know. Me too.
Maria says, just like me, she says, I really want a donut now. Yes, that's how you spell it's spelled in the UK. We do spell it that
That's
way
how
here
I want to
too.
spell it. Yeah.
We do, but
Mm.
generally the DONUT has kind of taken over most places, but it's still proper spelling here as well.
I find myself wanting to spell things the British way so often, and it's really aggravating to always have to correct myself. But there's only some words, so I can't do it because I'm totally not consistent.
Mhm.
And
I'm
do
just
you,
hungry
Jamie.
now.
That's what I
you
said.
do you, Boo. You're hungry now for a nutty donut.
Yes. So,
Mm.
hungry donut and a bagel with cream cheese. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much.
$4.50 though, that better be the donut of youth. Holy cow! No,
Yeah.
I mean that's not meant to be a criticism, but and maybe it was $450,000 if it was the donut of youth.
Why would she left it in the break room? Like it
We
was
have
that
so many
much.
questions, Rhonda. We need to go on the adventure of the donut. So we
Maybe
need
you'll
more
get
of
the
this.
answer someday.
Yeah. Awesome.
Very exciting.
Okay, so we heard everybody's story, right? Because I
Yes.
do lose track. Okay, and if you all take a crack at this sprint, here's what we would like for you to do: put it on your own blog. Because guess why? Now, when people click to read it, they'll give traffic to your author website. You need to start thinking about this, okay? So you have a website sitting there. Put your sprint up as a blog post and then put it on your social media for us to share on the social media. So you see, you'll be doing one action that will build your social media and build your track record with your website. So then let us know that you did it. We'll be happy to comment and let you know what we thought of your take on the prompt, which is going to be totally different than ours. You'll love to see what your brain spits out. Trust me. Okay. Anything else about any of that? Or do we move on? Moving
ready to move
right
on.
along. Okay, so it's time for what's next. Dun, da, da, da. What's next in our writing careers,
I want to go
ladies?
first.
Okay, go, Rhonda.
Okay, I want to go first because I would like to have a poll. Okay, so in the podcast we talked about epistolary framing,
Oh, yeah.
and I have a nonfiction that it's been on the shelf for almost a year, very close to a year, And I've been thinking about changing it around because I just haven't been happy with it. There's something wrong with it. And I'm thinking about making that letters back and forth between a genealogist and her mentor. So I would like to know what the general consensus is. Do you like epistolary novels or do you think they're stupid?
Hold on, because just to make sure we understand what you're asking. Well, listen, I think I'm going to end up with an epistolary novel because anyway, it's a novel that's basically letters to people. Okay, so when you're reading it, it's going to change like how the descriptions work and sort of stuff like that. So this is what if you've read this, if you know what we're talking about, Rhonda wants to know: do you like it? Do you hate it? Would it keep you from picking it up? Is this what you're asking, Rhonda?
Yes.
And how do you want them to tell you? Are you going to put a poll like on our Facebook page or somewhere where someone could see it? Maybe
blurt out their opinion.
Just blurt out their opinion in the chat. Okay, so if you have an opinion,
Facebook would be fun too, though. You should do a poll on Facebook.
Yeah, I can set one up.
They're
all
easy.
right. So if you have an opinion, I personally don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think I would like to read it. I mean, I had Corny be mostly epistolatory in my second nature book, but that was all like comedy stuff. It was, you know what I mean? So I don't know with a serious subject matter if I would feel the same.
Shell likes them.
I like them if they have narrative mixed in.
See, that's what I was wondering as I was thinking, can I just do the letters or do I need the narrative?
I mean, if you have the narrative of
letters.
somebody
Yes.
reading the letters, that would be a good way to frame it.
Yes,
Lots
the Screw Tape Letters, when I read that was the first one I ever read. I didn't even know that could be a thing in a book. And I've been impressed by that ever since.
Yeah, Piper and Brian both spoke up about Screw Tape Letters.
Barbie says, Rhonda, I like it because it makes it more immediate than just a bunch of information. So.
I like it too. And I think like, okay, I think that you'll figure it out through your process, Rhonda. Just go and write everything that needs to be written and then only include the stuff that needs to be included. Does that make any sense? I know you talked about not liking to waste work, but the problem is you have to write until you've exhausted the subject. Not everything will get published, but you've got to write until you feel like you've said it all. And then you just go back and only include the stuff that the writer needs to read. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm writing all this backstory from my world in my book. Nobody's ever going to read or know that I know something like the price per gallon of gas for my novel, but it helps me to be totally immersed when I'm writing it, right? So you just got to like exhaust yourself of the topic, in my opinion, and then you'll know what needs to go in and what doesn't. Just my 2 cents. All right.
Looking at the chat, Piper says her what's next. I missed it. Trying to increase the difficulty a character is going through to make her make the choices she is going to make be legit.
Oh, yeah.
We did a whole podcast about hurting your characters. Rhonda hated every minute of that one. Every minute. Maria says, Carrie on editing and putting stuff on Instagram, plus having a go on MailerLite, working on a newsletter template. Would you like to join us on newsletter chat Tuesday nights? Actually, it's the middle of the night, or watch it later. So, hey, if you're not able to catch newsletter chat, anyone listening to this live, go ahead back into Facebook and comment or ask questions when you do get a chance to watch it, and we will see them and we can address them the next week. So,
absolutely.
Shell says, what's next? Finish my short story, hopefully by next Friday, but end of month is my hard deadline, so she has time to edit. That sounds good too. Maria says, I forgot to say that I signed off on the front cover on her middle grade novel. Yay. And about to sign off for final amendment. That's really great. Congratulations.
That's really exciting.
So
yeah, and I want to say also about newsletter chat, if you send us, those questions, then we can answer them during the next newsletter chat also, and we can give you a little bit of a shout out and let you know that we saw you and that you're paying attention. Jason says he needs to put pen to paper and get at least a chapter finished this week. Yeah, everybody. I hope everybody's goal is to write at least a little something this week. My goal for this week is to keep showing up for office hours, because the commitment I have to myself is that office hours is working on my novel time. And guess what? I'm so excited. Did it ever accidentally happen to you that you get to be a hero for doing something that you would have done anyway for no accolades whatsoever? It's so funny. My children's co-op needs a study hall monitor for 2 hours of the co-op day. So now I can be in a room writing on my laptop and also being helpful to the co-op. Is that not the most amazing thing ever?
That's awesome.
The best study hall monitor ever.
Oh my goodness. It's so funny. The kids come in and I go, welcome to study hall where you can study or not. I will be over here typing my novel. Anyway, it's known there. A lot of the kids play like card games. It's not like, I'm supposed to be some kind of rule person, but I was having a lot of fun with the kids. You know what I mean? So yeah, we've been having a good time there. And so now I have Thursday back to be a writing day. So that's very exciting to me. And that's my what's next. Did we, Jen, we don't have your what's next?
Or Tina's. Yeah. So I need to show up to office hours. This has been, it's a hard transition. I got to figure out, we're trying to figure out what school looks like for my girls, because now we have music class on Tuesdays around lunchtime, but we have to travel there. And we also have now this partnership on Wednesday morning. So my office hours might look different moving forward, but I need to really make sure that I get through at least 2 chapters. I mean, I really want to do more, but like it's going slow. So my goal is going to be 2 chapters and showing up to office hours. How about you, Bambina?
Well, if I had done office hours yesterday instead of playing with laminated paper, I would have been done with my read through.
Wow.
So like, there I go, self-sabotage, right?
Mhm.
So I'm going to get that done and get it, figure out how to get it compiled and printed so I can send it off to the proofreader.
Wow. So by next time you tell us what's up, it should be at the proofreader, huh?
Hopefully, yes. If I do what
Wow.
I'm supposed to be doing.
All right. Well, we'll try to be your accountability buddies for that, Bambina, because we want you to have that win, right?
Agreed.
Okay, so I guess that is it. Is all our hearts cleared on the topic of framing your story or anything else? Okay, well, in that case, this concludes this episode of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. Until next time, may your pen be prolific, your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ. Bye now.
Everyone.
Bye.